Welcome to Logistics Business Conversations, where we talk with key spokespeople in the logistics industry about topical issues. Hosted by Peter McLeod, editor of Logistics Business Magazine.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to the latest edition of the Logistics Business Conversations podcast. Called Safety First, How to Ensure Safety in Intralogistics, today's podcast is brought to you by Linde Material Handling. My name is Peter McLeod. I'm the editor of Logistics Business Magazine, and as always, it's my great pleasure to host this conversation. Now, in the quest to drive greater efficiency and speed through the warehouse, safety should always remain at the top of every intralogistics manufacturer's list of priorities. This was more than apparent when I recently visited Linde's Aschaffenburg manufacturing centre, where it launched, to rave reviews I must add, its XI forklift trucks up to 2 tons. I spent as much time discussing built-in and operational safety with Linde's launch team as I did talking about efficiency and sustainability. I learned about how Linde drives forward advances in safety through a process involving holistic consultation with its customers. The resultant solutions are therefore developed with a true and thorough understanding of the conditions and circumstances in which their products will be put to use. So, who better than to discuss warehouse safety with me than 2 of Linde's experts in the area of safety? Firstly, we're joined by Elke Karnarski, Product Manager for X Trucks and Safety Solutions for Linde Material Handling. Hello, Elke, and welcome to the show.
Hello, it's good to be here with you.
And alongside Elke is Fabian Zimmermann, Linde's Product Manager for Safety Solutions. Welcome, Fabian, and thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Peter. Thank you for having us.
So it's a great pleasure. Now let's kick off the conversation, Elke, and I want you to perhaps introduce Linde briefly to the audience for anyone tuning in who may not be familiar with your company.
Yes, of course. Linde Material Handling is part of the Kion Group company. Linde is based in Germany and has more than 100 years of experience in providing material handling solutions. We deliver them to virtually every industry you can imagine because, industrial trucks are used in almost every industry. In order to be close to our customers, we have got around 700 sales and service locations in more than 100 countries. So our international network also includes production and assembly plants in Europe, which are Germany, France, Italy, Poland, the Czech Republic, and also in the United States of America and in the People's Republic of China. So you can see also production-wise, we have a very international setup. For our customers, we provide a really extensive product portfolio, which includes forklift, warehouse trucks, as well as automated and digital solutions. So, in the end, we provide everything you need for intercompany transport, storage, stacking, picking. And last but not least, of course, we also provide corresponding services to manage the fleet and to keep it going in the long term.
Now, you're one of the big 3 manufacturers globally, and therefore anything you do in the field of safety is surely going to make a significant difference. But before we get into all of that, I just wondered, can you sort of talk us through some of the figures around the level of incidents and accidents currently in the workplace?
Here, let's take Germany as an example, because here we have rather detailed figures, but of course you can transfer those figures to other European countries because we are all on the same level of industrialization. In Germany, such accident figures are collected by the German statutory accident insurance. So this means that each accident where an injured person cannot work again after 3 days has to be reported to this insurance institution. The latest published statistics we have on hand are from 2022, so rather new. And from this annual report, we see that there were almost, alone in Germany, 20,000 reportable accidents with industrial trucks only. So within 1 year, and out of this 20,000 1,000 accidents. There were 300 affected persons that did not recover and were unable to work again. So still really, huge figures. The positive fact here is that the serious accidents where people had to retire afterwards, they have halved over the last 20 years. So there was a significant change within that. But on the negative side, unfortunately, we had also 8 fatal accidents. And those fatal accidents varied over the last 3 years from 8 to 11. So there is a constant level of fatal accidents, unfortunately.
Yes, it's very upsetting to hear those sorts of numbers, and obviously with every incident, there's a whole family infrastructure around that as well. So I wanted to ask, what are the sort of the most common types of injuries, or maybe the type of accidents, type of equipment most often involved in these incidents?
Yeah, the statistics here show us also very interesting figures, because more than 40% of the industrial truck accidents happen with counterbalance trucks, followed by pedestrian pallet trucks, stackers with about 20%, and another 20% with hand pallet trucks. How do they happen? Typical pallet truck accidents are, for example, that the operator maneuvers in a very confined space, that he drives onto his own feet or hits another person standing nearby, or he drives in a wrong direction on a ramp and loses the goods on the forks, hitting then also somebody standing nearby. So these are accidents that happen. But of course, the more severe accidents happen with the counterbalance truck. And when we have a look at the counterbalance trucks, the majority, 55% of those accidents happen when the truck is reversing. So, forklift trucks are reversing half of the time, but 55% happen really during reverse, when the truck is starting from standstill or still driving very slowly. And here, 65% of these accidents result really in collisions with persons, obstacles. 10% of those accidents crashing off the load and getting off the forklift. So you would say, how can an accident happen when getting off the forklift? The drivers, they jump off the forklift, or they don't leave the truck as they should it, with a face to the truck and gripping the handle. So the danger of slipping is much greater when they leave it that way.
To me, at least, sounds like a preventable accident, which is, this is what the podcast is all about today. So let's sort of dig a little bit deeper into that. One thing that we want to say is, of course, these are personal tragedies, but the implications of a workplace incident can go beyond the personal and the human side, because what you've got there is reputational damage, you've got equipment damage, you've got goods damage, you've got costs to a business beyond just the emotional cost as well, haven't you?
Yes, absolutely.
So thanks, Elke. We've started to see the scale of this problem. And Fabian, it's over to you now. I'm going to ask you a simple question, which I'm certain won't have a simple answer. How can we avoid or prevent these types of accidents?
Most important is trained staff. And then it comes to the safety culture in the company. And this is truly the most important point. After that, it's all about consultancy. And this is where we as a manufacturer can jump in, because from all our consultancy expertise, we do know the customer pain points, we know the use cases where a lot of accidents happen, and there we can really support our customers. For example, we shortly developed a tool, we call it Safety Solution Finder, for our sales experts. And I myself, I was surprised when we put together this tool that we have over 70 safety solutions in our portfolio. And finding the right safety solution for the dedicated customer use case, this is where we do need consultancy of our sales force. Looking more to the products, of course, our products are safe by design. And we do have a lot of assistance systems as standard equipment in our trucks. And our trucks are designed to the highest safety standards. And after that, of course, we have various assistance systems for dedicated use cases. And in those use cases, we can support our customers and also the drivers, because those are the most important people to support with our assistance systems.
Yes, that was one thing that impressed me during the launch of your products that I attended, was how specific you can make your safety systems for the end use. So Fabian, when Linde's designers are sitting down to conceive a new forklift truck, what are the actual areas or aspects of operation they're looking at that may not be obvious to a casual observer such as me?
One thing this might not be obvious for the casual observer is ergonomic aspects, because we do have to ensure fatigue-free working for the operators, so the operation is more sure, more safe. And here we look on fully suspended worker places, low entry steps, and for example also a low center of gravity, so we prevent the truck from tipping over. You just mentioned our new truck range, the 1251, and here we all talk about visibility. This truck is a new benchmark in visibility. Of course, our top-mounted tilt cylinders always pay into this visibility point. And always visibility means more safety because the operators sees more. Another point that pays into visibility is our new system, Linde Steer Control. All the controls of the forklift are just at your fingertips. And this also helps for fatigue-free working. Looking to assistancy systems. We have assistancy systems as a standard, like curve assist, automatic parking brakes, the load assist, and those are all standards in our counterbalance trucks. And you, as an operator or as a person, you wouldn't even see them, but they are all in the truck.
I have to say, you talk about your lead in safety here with this new range, and when I was at the launch, I was talking with the independent forklift expert Theo Egberts, and I was saying, look, Linde's claiming this, Linde's claiming that, and he said, yeah, they're absolutely right to. They are taking a lead here. They are really ahead of the game when it comes to some of the innovations that they've built into this range. So that's very assuring that safety is very much at the forefront of those innovations. So Fabian, what about some of the other areas you're looking at to help your customers operate as safely as possible?
We always come from our consulting expertise. So with our consulting and then being in the field, we know what are the use cases and the pain points of our customers. For example, inappropriate speed. This is always an issue. Of course, a logistic manager, he always wants to have highest performance. But safety always goes together with performance. So if you now design speed zones in the warehouse, for example, at a dangerous coffee corner, you can have a higher truck speed in the not dangerous area and then have dedicated slow speed zones in those dangerous areas, keeping productivity high and also increasing safety.
Can I ask at that point, Fabian, how does that work in principle? Is that a built-in feature on the truck that's pre-programmed?
For speed zones, we have different systems. For example, the speed assist, this is an indoor and outdoor sensor, or the Linde Safety Guard. And this Linde Safety Guard can define speed zones in the warehouse, but it also goes beyond that because it can prevent accidents with persons. For this use case, a person would wear a tag, and this tag is constantly communicating with the forklift. And if a person and a truck come too close to each other, then we would reduce the truck speed and warn the operator of the truck and also the person walking in the warehouse. On top of that, as a next point, we have to look into infrastructure. Accident that is happening very often in warehouses is that forklifts are just too fast for the fast opening gates, and then they crash into those fast gates. And here we can also help with our solution door control by synchronizing the truck with the controller of the gate so the gate stays open when the truck is coming. We can look into more use cases because we always want to start with the use case. One thing that everybody who's listening to the podcast now can try at home is starting to drive backwards. This is what Elke said before is the most dangerous situation when driving a forklift. Now imagine you at home, you are a forklift driver, you're sitting on your truck and you're putting something onto a lorry. You always have to concentrate on your load, on your forks and putting that onto the truck. And now you have to start to drive backwards. You turn around, so just turn around over your right shoulder and look backwards. Even so you look backwards, you will never see what is happening on the left side behind you because this is the blind spot. And here we have to support the driver because often lorry drivers are running behind you as a forklift driver and then a serious accident happens. For this situation exactly, we have developed assistance systems like reverse assist camera. This is an AI camera detecting people and then slowing down the truck. Or reverses his radar. This one is even reacting to, for example, boxes. And in my opinion, this is the best assistance system for this use case, starting to drive backwards. Peter, should we also have a look into our other trucks, not counterbalance trucks, for example, warehouse? For these trucks, for example, we also have those AI cameras, for example, reach trucks. Here, you also have very dangerous situation because the driver is sitting sideways and the truck driver doesn't see what's behind them. Exactly here, we can also use AI cameras to detect people and slow down the truck. Different truck mean also different use cases. For example, very narrow aisles. We have dedicated assistance systems only for those applications. Or pallet trucks. Before we heard with Elke that 20% of the most serious accidents happen with small pallet trucks, what you might not think in the first place. For this use case exactly, we have an active foot bumper. This one prevents that the operator drives the little pallet truck on his foot. And then there's one application which is very, very special. It's called explosion-proof trucks or ATEX. But here Elke is the expert.
Yes, I will take over, Fabian. Explosion protection is really the premier class when it comes to safety. Because in an explosive atmosphere, when an accident happens, it's not just an accident, it's really a catastrophe you can imagine when there is an explosion. So let me explain it shortly. Who are the customers who need such trucks? These are customers who are transporting or processing hazardous substances, like, for example, in the chemical industry, pharmaceutical industry, but also food and beverage or recycling industries. They often need, according to the ATEX regulations, such explosion-protected trucks. Because when there occurs an explosive atmosphere in their production or in the warehouse, all potential ignition sources of the truck, like, for example, electric or mechanical sparks or hot surfaces, must be prohibited so that there is no ignition source. And Linde is the only industrial truck manufacturer converting its trucks to ATEX on its own. We do that already since more than 40 years and provide here many truck series from hand pallet trucks to pallet trucks, stackers, reach trucks, and of course, counterbalance trucks. And what's here also very important for our customers is to have in such an ATEX X-proof truck the same safety level as in the standard truck. And therefore, we always strive to have the safety features, the assistance systems like the reverse assist camera also available for the ATEX zones so that the operators have the same safety level, whatever truck they drive within the company.
It sometimes comes as a bit of a surprise because it's not only the obvious industries where you'd expect explosion risk to occur. And it kind of reminds me of a chemistry lesson I had many, many years ago with my chemistry teacher, Dr. Chapman, and he exploded custard powder for us as an example. So, as you said, food and beverage as well is an area where these trucks definitely need to be explosion proofed. Now, I know it may sometimes sound a little inappropriate to mention costs when it comes to safety, but isn't it true that it costs less to invest in safety systems and practices and to then operate a safer environment than it is to save on upfront investment in safety and pay for the consequences of an accident later on down the line?
Yes, I absolutely agree with you on that. Depending on the kind of accident, you have to consider many cost factors. When you just look at an accident where even no person is harmed, you have to consider the damages to the trucks, to goods, production downtime, management time required for damage documentation, for repair. But all this is really hard to quantify and therefore often not considered in advance. On the positive side, I can say that many customers expect already certain features in their tenders that address typical risks and hazards in the warehouse because they know that this really leads to massive reduction of costs over the years. So I just said it's hard to calculate, but we have a concrete example where our customers have a very quick return of invest and where you can calculate it in advance. Fabian already just mentioned it, the topic of the high-speed doors. So when you think of high-speed doors and truck drivers driving with an even higher speed through the doors, we have in many companies high 5-digit numbers of costs per year. So that's really impressive. Much companies spend here on repair costs. With our door control system, the trucks are automatically slowed down when they enter the defined zone around the automatic door. And as soon as they have passed the door, the truck drives through, then he can drive full speed again. And so there is no effect on the efficiency, but the doors are not harmed anymore. So this you can calculate very easy, and customers say, yeah, we will have a return of invest within 1 year. We do that. So that's the easy one.
Yeah, that is the easy one. And the harder one is, for example, there's a spillage or some damage in an aisle, and, you shut that aisle down in the warehouse. And if it happens to be, for example, an e-commerce warehouse, and you've got customers wanting next day or even same day delivery, and those deliveries are not fulfilled, then, of course, there's a cost down the line as well. That customers probably won't come back to you. So that's the harder ROI case to make, but it's still very much very relevant. Fabian, you did mention it earlier, AI and the cameras there. I'm writing and reading about it all the time now, AI. I just wonder whether this and, other digital technologies can be harnessed in a way that can enhance workplace safety.
Well, for me as a product manager, latest information, future trends, sensor technology, that's the core of my business. And we as a market leader, we strive for a deep integration of those new technologies and sensors into our trucks. For example, I just mentioned before reverse radar. So we integrate the radar sensor into our truck to have, in my opinion, the best assistance system for a dedicated use case. But we also work with AI cameras, which are basically the most important trend on the market at the moment. Those AI cameras you can use for mobile use cases on the forklift truck, but also on stationary use cases, having them mounted in the warehouse. And of course, we just signed a cooperation with NVIDIA to have a good partner further down the road. And we are also working on real-time localization systems.
I'm a little bit confused about AI cameras. Can you just explain a little bit more how an AI camera would operate slightly, for example, versus a standard reversing camera, for example, that our listeners would be used to in their private cars?
The standard reversing camera is basically showing the picture that the camera is seeing on a screen. But you have to actively look on the screen to see what's happening there. And that's also a bit of a dilemma because, for example, looking on driving backwards, you have to turn around to drive backwards and look at your environment. In general, you're not allowed to look on the screen and then drive after the screen. And this is where AI cameras can help because those are actively detecting persons, for example, behind the forklift truck, and then intervene with the truck controller and slow down the speed so that the operator has a little help to ensure safe operation.
I'm looking at the cost of a rear bumper on a Volvo this weekend, and it certainly seems like an AI camera is something I need to get myself when I'm parking to keep everyone safe around me. So I've been a logistics journalist for many years, and during that time I've seen a real and measured improvement in working conditions and safety within the warehouse space. And I think, Elke, your figures that you said at the head of the podcast show a really significant decline in workplace accidents. Sort of over the years, sometimes there are sort of incremental improvements, and at other times there are absolute step changes. And most of these advances, I have to say, have come from the forklift manufacturers themselves, such as yourselves. A good example is when Linde Material Handling demonstrated to me its blue spot idea. I remember being incredibly impressed by A, it was very effective, and B, as great ideas are, it was also quite simple. So perhaps, Elke, you can just tell us a little bit more about the blue spot technology and how it helps to prevent collisions.
Yes, of course. I remember very well when we launched the safety feature about 15 years ago. But let me first explain how it works. You have a blue LED light that's mounted to the driver's overhead guard, and that projects a blue warning spot onto the ground in front or behind of the truck, depending on the mounting position. With this blue spot on the ground, the pedestrians and other forklift drivers are warned of the approaching truck because they can see the blue spot several meters in front or behind of the truck, although the truck yet cannot be seen because it's perhaps behind a wreck or it's at the other side of a crossing. So it visualizes the truck in advance and helps to prevent accidents by that. We first introduced the solution as a retrofit solution and integrated it then also as an option, of course, into our new trucks. And in the meantime, it really was a great success story and is really a safety standard equipment in the industry. But that's only a small feature. Of course, since then, we've been continuing to set standards in the safety business, and we introduced, as we just told, the Linde Safety Guard based on ultra-wideband technology, so it can even look through racks also and see the truck, so that trucks can communicate with each other at crossings. And we do this now also with our latest reverse assist systems like the camera and the reverse assist radar system mentioned before. We really work hard on setting again new safety standards.
Well, I could talk about warehouse safety all day, but sadly we are coming towards the end of our allotted time. I think my takeaway from this is, as I said at the top, you are a top 3 global manufacturer. So anything you do is going to make a very significant difference in safety levels, not just in Germany, Europe, but worldwide. I travel around a lot and I see your trucks everywhere. And it's very reassuring to know that safety remains at the top of your agenda, as illustrated today in this conversation. Secondly, I think another takeaway is you're not just relying on mechanical or built-in safety. Your understanding of operational environments means that the conditions in which the truck is operated and the manner in which it's operated is as significant when it comes to safety as it is to try and build in safety devices. So that's probably as much as I can say in summary of that. But it just sort of very reassuring is what I want to say, that what I'm hearing from you today. So I wanted to say thank you very much to Elke and Fabian for talking to us about this very important topic today and for highlighting areas where I see Linde taking a leading position. I'd also like to thank you, the listener, for joining us today for this edition of Logistics Business Conversations. And remember, wherever you get your podcasts from, please subscribe to Logistics Business Conversations to make sure the next edition is delivered straight to you as soon as it's released. So until then, it's goodbye from Elke.
Thank you for having us. Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from Fabian.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure for me too. It's goodbye from me, Peter McLeod. Goodbye.